Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And I have done many videos on how bad our police are. And remember, they're not your friends. But be it stupidity, ineptitude, or just plain old-fashioned corruption, the police are not fit for purpose. And I'm not alone in thinking this. The mainstream media has done far more, be it in print or television format. In fact, the problem has got so bad, Her Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary has told senior officers to treat the press as hostile. They say that they are a corrupting influence and they are to be treated as extremists. Is this what we want from our police service? To treat the free press as the enemy? I think not. But let's look at this article. So here we are. Police forces are told to treat reporters as extremists and a potential corrupting influence in latest advice. Her Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary recommended police officers disclose associations with journalists and extremist groups. After complaints about lumping these two together as if they were equal, the Inspectorate apologised and agreed to change the wording, but only after they were caught saying it. They obviously knew the wording in advance, and so they obviously felt that this was the case. They don't like the police having any relationship with the press. Advice remains unchanged, however, and the journalism stays on the list attached to the College of Policing's authorised professional practice guidelines on tackling corruption. So they're saying that the press are still corruptive. Secret police guidance, I didn't know we had secret police, but I suspect we probably do, has discovered urging officers to treat journalists akin to criminals and extremist groups. Why would you treat journalists like criminals? This alarming advice has been condemned by newspaper groups who fear it will undermine police-press relations and hinder the public's right to know about crimes and how they are investigated. The trouble is, crimes are not being investigated, and that is why they want the press treated with contempt. Because the press keep highlighting how crimes are not being investigated. Only last week, Merseyside Police held vital briefings in the media to galvanise the quest to find the attacker who ended the 9-year-old Olivia Pratt-Corbell. Yet advice to police forces not previously revealed instructs them to regard professional journalists as a potential corrupting influence. Oh yes, so you'll use the press when it's your advantage, but otherwise you treat them with contempt. And the reason you're treating them with contempt is because the press keep highlighting how awful you are and how bad you are and how you don't investigate crimes and how you actually end up committing a lot of them. The College of Policing, the umbrella group providing guidance to the forces of England and Wales, advises that officers must declare whether they have friendships or associations with people such as criminals. Yeah, because they work with them every day. While this advice is public, it has emerged that a secret annex listing the types of associations that must be declared includes journalists. So they count journalists equivalent to extremists and criminals. Earlier this year, HM Inspectorate of Constabulary recommended police officers disclose associations with journalists and extremist groups, and after a complaint about lumping them together, the inspectorate apologised. But the advice remains unchanged, and journalism stays on the list attached to the College of Policing's authorised professional practice on tackling corruption. Well, if police are being corrupted, it's because they're corruptible. And if they're corruptible, they have no business being policemen. Ruth Smith of the campaign group Index on Censorship said freedom of the media is a bedrock of our democracy. Of course it is, because if the press are not allowed to report things that people don't want to report, then we don't have a free press. It was Orwell who said journalism is printing things that people don't want printed. Printing things they do want printed is PR. A formal complaint has been made to the College of Policing by the Society of Editors and the Crime Reporters Association. Rebecca Camber, who is chairman of the CRA and the Daily Mail's crime and security editor, said, "This national guidance equates the profession of journalism with criminals, extremists, suspects and sex workers." Crime reporters attend briefings every day all over the country, and there is nothing underhand or corrupt about them. In fact, such contact is essential to open justice, as indeed is reporting on corruption within the police, is reporting the stupidity of the police, is reporting the ineptitude of the police, and is reporting those cases where policemen commit sometimes terrible crimes. Forcing officers to list association with journalists will have a chilling effect on police-press relations, discouraging whistleblowers from speaking out and deterring officers from having legitimate, essential contact with the media. There's very few whistleblowers in the press, in the police. We know that, because if there were, half the stuff that does happen wouldn't. Just think of the 15,000 children who were AR'd because nobody stood up and said it was going on. The Society of Editors and Journalists should be removed from the list. The College of Policing said there is a public expectation for the police to have policies in place to protect sensitive information held by the police, which can include details of members of the public and police operations. That's fine. That doesn't mean you don't have to answer to the press. This includes a requirement to declare any potential conflicts of interest in order to be open and transparent, as well as to mitigate any risks that may arise. That sounds like a bullshit argument. What it is that the senior people who run the police and the oversight of the police, they absolutely hate the press, because the press keep pointing out the terrible, terrible things they do, their laziness, their stupidity, and their corruption. And that's at the heart of this matter. So it needs to be overturned, and the press need to investigate the police thoroughly and constantly. Constant vigilance is the only way we maintain quality. Anyway, I shall come up. We have seen over the years the police have gone from a respected organisation to a bunch of virtue signalling cucks. That's the ones who aren't actually corrupt criminals. We need a root and branch change. We need to get back the likes of Jack Regan and Gene Hunt. You know, the hardened policeman to take down the hardened criminal. Because at the moment, all they do is, well, generate revenue by attacking motorists who are doing 33 in a 30 zone. God forbid they ever turn up to an armed robbery or a burglary. They're not fit for purpose, and the press keep pointing this out. And that is why the press are seen as the enemy. The police need to sort their game out and get rid of all the woke wankery that is stopping them from doing their job. I doubt it will happen. Anyway, if you like what you see and hear on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell for notification of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and until next time, stay safe, stay well, be aware of dodgy policemen, and goodbye.